In this episode, we'll look at recycling electrical waste and batteries, while Tanya cycles the Ring of Kerry. But first, we visit a river catchment in Teagasc, where farmers work together with Teagasc. Our natural river catchments in Ireland are facing huge pressures, although efforts are being made to improve and secure our water supplies. If we don't address our many water quality pressures right now, we'll soon be facing major contamination problems that will cost us billions to repair retrospectively. For years, farming practice has been getting a bad rap where water quality is concerned. It has been accused of causing the majority of our water contamination problems by excessive spreading of nitrogen and phosphorus fertilizers. But farmers have been under pressure to remain economically viable by increasing quotas that push them to farm more intensively. So how can we reduce water contamination from agriculture and improve our water quality while still allowing farmers to stay commercially competitive by farming intensively to meet their quotas? In recent years, huge efforts have been made to address this controversial issue. One such measure is the EU Nitrates Directive, which was implemented here in 2006 to protect our natural waters against pollution from agricultural practices. Under this directive, the government have imposed fertiliser spreading bans, called closed periods, during certain months of the year, and are also providing grants for farmers to build large slurry containment tanks that store fertiliser waste during these non-spreading periods. But exactly how much intensive farming affects our water quality, we don't yet know. Teagasc have been running a river catchment testing project across Ireland that will finally answer some of these questions. I'm visiting one of the test sites in Teagasc, County Cork, to find out about this project. Ger Shortall from Teagasc is showing me around. Ger, tell us about the monitoring programme you're carrying out here.
It's a joint programme between research and advisory within Teagasc, and what it's looking at is water quality in intensively farmed areas of the country. And what we're trying to do is to evaluate the package of measures that was brought in under the Nitrates Directive that farmers have implemented, and we're trying to show that these measures are having an effect, a positive impact on water quality in the catchments.
So why did you choose this area here near Teagasc?
This catchment really represents the most intensively farmed part of the country, and so it represents, if you like, one end of the spectrum in terms of intensity in Irish farming.
So how many farmers are involved and how much land?
There's about 800 hectares in the catchment, so we're concentrating on working with about 20 farmers who farm the bulk of the catchment. The majority of those will be dairy farmers.
So what do you expect will be the benefits from this?
What we're trying to get out of this study is a better understanding of the dynamics, if you like, of nutrients in an agricultural catchment. It's taken the study of nitrogen and phosphorus movement away from the laboratory and putting it into a real-life scenario in a catchment. And that gives us a lot of power to fill in the gaps in knowledge between when the nutrient is put on the land, which could be put on from a fertiliser source or from the animals depositing them themselves or from slurry spreading, and what happens in the continuum from when it lands on the field to when the water leaves the catchment. And if there's some load of nutrient leaving the catchment via the water, we want to just better understand how that happens. And it's from a position of knowledge then that you can work towards maybe solving any issues that do arise.
So how does it work?
This is what we would call our bankside analyzer, and what it's doing is it's constantly taking water from the river, pumps it into this tank, right, and it's from this tank that we take samples.
What are you measuring here?
We're measuring all the water flowing past in the little river behind, but also the quality of that water as it flows past. And the main piece of machinery you see there operating now, that's called a phosphax unit, and what that's measuring is the phosphorus content of the water. And in the tank there's also a probe which measures the nitrate content of the water.
So this is every 10 minutes, right through the night, every day?
Yeah, it's 10 minutes, 24/7, 365 days a year.
So what other types of monitoring are you doing here?
Well, we also have a network of groundwater monitoring wells, and these are multi-level wells where we look at the quality of the groundwater at shallow depth, just in the soil, at a slightly deeper depth where the soil meets the parent material or bedrock, and then right down into the bedrock. So we're getting a picture at 3 levels across a range of sites, and this tells you what path water takes from the upper reaches of the catchment down to the stream, because all the groundwater eventually makes its way to the stream and exits the catchment into the sea. It gives us a very good understanding of the dynamics of groundwater and how the groundwater moves around the catchment and what it brings with it in terms of nutrients.
Ger is taking me to meet some of the farmers in the Teagasc area who've been looking for new ways to improve their farming practices as a direct result of the information that the Teagasc testing is providing. John, tell us about your farm here. How many cows have you got and how much land?
Yeah, we're farming about 175 dairy cows.
So this mini catchment programme now that's on here, how do you see that?
It'll prove that farmers, hopefully, are not the polluters. The runoff from land isn't as much as what they actually think. Like. There's a good farming practice out there.
And why is it important to you that you do the right thing in this?
Well, everybody will win. If we do the right thing on our ground, the runoff into rivers will be less. We'll get better crops grown in our field, better grass, better environment, everything. Everybody wins if you do it right.
And you've made a big investment here in your farm.
We have, yeah. We spent a lot of money there over the last 3 years in slurry storage, and we spent about 160,000 on the slurry side of it and got a 60% grant on that.
And has this been worthwhile, a big investment that?
In the closed period, we don't have any problems holding our slurry. We have plenty of capacity.
Why is slurry now so important to you?
In the last couple of years, fertiliser, the price has just risen so much that we realise that we have resources on our farm which we can use to our benefit and cut down the costs with.
So you put a value in slurry?
We do.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
How much money is that?
I don't know. We need a good calculator.
Right.
I wouldn't be sure.
But it's
it is a value. There is a value after being put on it, yeah.
Kevin Collins and his father Jerry have been enthusiastic and shown leadership and strong support for this strategic project from its inception. They have facilitated stream monitoring equipment on their land, where I met Kevin, who tells me about the benefits of growing clover. So do you think this monitoring programme is going to help you?
It'll help us to see where our nitrogen is going and how we're utilising it.
Are you trying to minimise the amount of nitrogen spread on the land?
We are indeed. We're trying to cut our costs by spreading the slurry and using clover to get nitrogen by different means. The clover it fixes nitrogen into the ground so that the grass can utilise it, and also for our other enterprise, the bees use it.
Right, so you've got bees here also?
We have indeed, yes.
How many bees have you got?
We have 300 hives.
So do the bees help now the clover?
They remove the nectar and they help to pollinate the clover.
Really? So you've got two businesses really going on here?
Yes.
So how does the ground benefit by clover growing here?
You don't have to spread as much chemical nitrogen, or chemical fertiliser costs will be lower, and hopefully it'll be an advantage to the environment as well, that there won't be as big a runoff.
My next port of call is the farm of Colin Bateman. Colin has a dual interest in water quality in that, as well as being a farmer, Colin is also a keen angler and fishes the many rivers in this area. What's your interest now in the catchment programme?
Well, I was approached some time back by Teagasc when they were setting up this programme. I was very interested in it because obviously I'm quite involved in trout fishing. Water quality and trout fishing obviously go hand in hand.
On fresh water too, is it?
On fresh water, yeah.
Which river?
It's on the Arrigadine. It flows into Teagasc, and I've been involved in the club there since I was a young guy. So I was very curious to see what was going to happen with this.
And will this study now kind of show up some of these issues?
If this will give definite indications as to where the problems are, and if there's things still to be tidied up in farming, well and good, it'll identify them. But there are other sources of pollution as well, which lead to difficulties. Agriculture isn't alone in causing problems.
Teagasc is just one of 6 monitoring sites around the country. The other clusters are testing different farming practices on various land types. Together, all the sites represent a detailed cross-section of farming enterprises and practices found in Ireland. What's important about this project is that it will finally give us exact data about how much agriculture contributes to water contamination and to its cause. This information will then allow us to focus on solutions and the development of new farming methods that will have a direct impact on improving the quality of our river catchments.